Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Wisdom of the Akashics. This is Diane Lang. I am going to start out like I always like to do and thank everyone for visiting the YouTube channel. I'd also like to thank all of you coming forward for spiritual guidance sessions and readings, energy clearings, also for your likes, your comments, and your feedback on the channel. And if you do have anything particular that you would like to have discussed or a question that you maybe have in your mind, please forward it to me and I will build it into one of the videos that I do for you guys. So one of the things I want to start out just talking about today is I'm actually going to do a reading today, and I haven't done a reading for a while. I tend to do more educational videos, guidance videos, but I woke up this morning and I got a very clear message from Spirit to do a video today, and I've actually been kind of sitting back going, okay, well, what is the question that we're asking today? And I just I've actually been up for several hours, and I finally just kind of heard there isn't a question, it's just spiritual messages. The Spirit just wants to pass on some messages to those of us in this community today. And again, thank you for your contribution to this twin flame community at all. It's really an amazing journey, and in my particular story, it has expanded me and grown me and pole vaulted me into self-love and acceptance and clarity in what it is that I want in my life, the type of relationship that I'm seeking, what it feels like to have that true unconditional love for another human being. So as frustrating as it can be someday, I also consider it the most amazing journey I've ever been on, and I'm very thankful for it. I also want to let you guys know that I just launched a free 3-part video series, How to Come into Spiritual Alignment with Your Twin Flame. You can access that by logging on to www.wisdomoftheakashics.com, and there'll be a pop-up menu there for you, a box for you to subscribe to that 3-part series, and also to a monthly newsletter that I'll be starting very shortly to send out to everybody. The reading that we're going to do today, I'm going to do a 3-card reading, masculine, 3-card reading, feminine messages, and then I'm also going to do 3 cards from my romance angel cards. And we'll just blend all of those and see what the overall message is for each one of us today. And also, if you have any interest in doing any clearing sessions or spiritual guidance sessions that can assist you through your journey, again, you can visit www.wisdomoftheakashics.com, and there's a bookings page there for you to do that. And I also have some advanced programs, and if you're interested in those, you can book a free 30-minute consultation with me to discuss those programs. Those are not readings. Those are actually just kind of breakthrough sessions for us to look at where you are, where you'd like to go. And that is based on work in the Akashic records, which are really the most valuable, amazing source of information for us as spiritual beings, and for soul information for us to work from in this lifetime, this human experience. Because I'm sure many of you have heard this very often, that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And so as a result of that, we are always in learning through duality. What we like helps us measure, it gives us a measuring stick for what we don't like. Things that are working for us, give us a measuring stick for things when we can see things in our life that aren't working toward us. And the Akashic records in particular are really a guiding post for how to move towards what it is that you came here to do, what it is that you most wanted to do when you came to Earth, what your divine gifts are, and what's keeping you from them. Those are the very powerful reading and sessions that I do with people, and really just that's actually, I started reading the Akashic records before I met my twin, and so I've really learned to combine the value of the Akashic records with this journey, and very much appreciate any work that I do in those, and just the value that you will find yourself on a personal level. And that's why we do a 30-minute breakthrough session, because it is a lot more in-depth work, and much appreciate any inquiries into that, because I see such transformation in in my clients when we work in the Akashic records. So the cards I'm reading are the Angel Tarot cards from Doreen Virtue. These are the cards I'm going to be reading from today. And then I'm also going to be doing, like I said, 3 cards from the Romance Angels. So that can let us look at more of the intimate side of the relationship and how we're feeling in it, what Spirit wants us to know about it. And I really like the cards because they give us, some direction as to this is an overall reading for everybody. When you come for spiritual clearing sessions or guidance sessions, we focus specifically on you, and the cards are general for overall for everybody. And so the parts that resonate for you, take note of them, and there may be parts of the reading that doesn't resonate for you because the reading are not specific to each one of you as individuals, of course. So let's just cut the cards now. I'm kind of excited. I haven't done an actual reading on a video. I do readings for my clients, but I haven't done one on video for a while. So we're calling up the 3 cards for the masculine. What does Spirit want us to know for the masculine energy and for the feminine energy? Okay, so the first card, I'm going to call a flip card here. Sometimes I do, sometimes I get drawn to do it, sometimes I don't. Okay, so the first card that comes up for the masculine is the Knight of Air. The Knight of Air, these cards are, they just are so beautiful. The Knight of Air is, and the actual reading on the card is intelligence, decisiveness, idealistic, tireless. Events that occur with great speed. Take time to carefully review your options and use creative solutions. So for the masculine energy and what you want to do, and I always talk to everybody about using the cards, using the spiritual guiding sessions, using the videos as a guidepost for you to look within and then look at what it is that's coming up for the masculine, and then how do you contribute to assisting them in that energy. Because in a twin soul, and I talk about this in the 3-part video series, in a twin soul, we are a mirror reflection of each other. So any issue that is going on with your twin is an issue that you can actually work on healing yourself. So for example, if there's an abandonment issue in the union, it may not be your abandonment issue, but it may be theirs, whether it's his or hers, it may be theirs, so that you can work and pray around and call in the healing of abandonment. And when you call in abandonment, or when you call up the energy of abandonment, what you want to do is you want to heal that energy. And so the opposite of abandonment is unity. It's being inclusive. It's being faith and trust that people are going to stay through our story with us, that they aren't going to leave us all of the time. This is very common on the earth right now. It's a big issue in general in all relationships. And so if you're looking at, there's an abandonment issue, or you've been abandoned a lot in your life, the perception of what's going on in your history and in your story is that there's been a lot of abandonment, then you want to call that up and you want to heal that. You want to ask Spirit to guide you through this, to bring you people that are able to stay in committed relationships with you, that you bring commitment to the relationship, that the twin can find union with you and trust in the commitment from you to stay with them, to stay through the story, to stay through the experience, and not be abandoned or nor abandon them. And so Spirit is just saying that, look at it as every part of their story is part of your story. So if there's something going on with you, it's going on with them. If there's something going on with them, it's going on with you. And the creative solution part is to look at ways to bring your vibrational energy up creatively. You can do it through videos, through meditation, through journaling, through clearings, through the invocations, for example, that are given to you when I do clearing sessions. I give my clients invocations and clearing statements to go on, along with the clearing sessions, and to use those on a regular basis, on a daily basis, that allows you to, so if you, for example, you want to bring a lot of joy to your experience, get out and experience joy in your own life, and then dedicate that joy to your twin. So I think one thing that people are maybe missing in the story is recognizing that if you are in a true twin union, it is literally the one original consciousness born into two individuated souls, but your experiences are always together. Everything that your twin feels, you will feel. Like some of us have blocked ourselves from that, and that's different. So what you want to do is you want to open up. What is the biggest story? What is the biggest thing for me to work on right now? What is the biggest thing for me to bring to the story, and be creative about it? The Knight of Air shows tireless. So in this journey, I think some of us feel like it's just taking so much out of us, and it can be where we feel like we just can't give up on them. And the reason we can't give up on them is because they're our shared soul. And so one of the things I always guide people to do is don't even try to give up on them. Try to find ways to live in peace and harmony with where the relationship is at, exactly where it is at. And so, and in this journey, when you take that energy of the tireless, they're tireless. It's like we're like a dog with a bone. We don't want to give up on them. We don't want to give up on ourselves. We don't want to give up on the love that we feel for them. But sometimes what we have to do is we literally just have to surrender to it. We have to surrender it to source. We have to surrender it to spirit. We want to know that it's our vibrational energy will be their attraction. So if we're in low energy stuff all the time, they're going to feel that low energy stuff, and that's push energy. And I call it, so it's like just being responsible. What are we attracting? What are we bringing to the story? And so when you want to help the masculine, for the men that are watching the videos, or for the women that want to help the masculine, just know that this is so much of this is just normal part of the journey. We often think that we're the only ones that are experiencing this, and it truly isn't. I mean, I've done enough readings and guidance sessions. There's a thread that runs through every story that is very similar. And when we realize that, we can go, this is just part of the story. It's part of the story for me to long for my twin this deeply. It's literally like a portion of us is not present with us, not physically with us when we're not in union. Some people's twins aren't even on the earth. And so, their union is actually only in the etheric world, and they're having to learn to manage that. So it says events occur with great speed. And what I'm hearing about that is when we do the work, changes can take place very quickly. There's no timeline that says this has to go on forever. That's actually our own stuff. That's our human stuff. Change can take place in people's lives in an instant. And that's because you become a vibrational match to the change. So I'm really, really hearing it that, don't get bound to earthly things like time and space, or that, my twin hasn't done this for so long, so that means that they're going to continue to not do it. We are sending out a law of attraction through our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, and our experiences. And so, really take ownership of those things and say, what am I doing? What am I sending out into the universe? Is it going to be bringing them to me, or is it pushing them away from me? The next card that comes up is the Queen of Water. Water is always about the emotional side of ourselves. Relationships develop to a new level. Trust your intuition. Care for yourself and others. This is what I talk about all the time. The biggest thing that you can be doing really, and it doesn't matter if it's about the twin journey, if it's your life on just the experience on earth, the relationships you're in. Some of us, I shouldn't say some of us, I'm not in a relationship with anybody, and I actually made in my video, I said my twin and I are both in relationships. So just ignore that part, please, because I'm actually not in a relationship, but I didn't go edit it out. So it's just me. It's just me speaking incorrectly in that moment in time. But So these relationships are going to develop to a new level when we do the work. And this is what's happening. I think there's a lot of masculine energy on the earth. The whole shift is going to the feminine. This isn't just about the twin flame relationship. This is about the energy on the earth. This is much what the 2012 shift was coming out of the masculine into the feminine. And men are going to their hearts now. They're going to their hearts for so many more reasons. I notice it a lot in social media, where men are much more showing them a tender-hearted side. They say a tender-heartedness, empathetic, patient, and loving. This is becoming very prevalent in the male community. And you can say, guys are just like this. Anytime you lump somebody into a particular category, I say lump yourself there, because that's exactly what's happening. Is we make up our mind that all men are this. Well, guess what your law of attraction will be? All men are that. And it'll show up exactly like we have the belief behind it. But I see on Facebook, for example, we're using Facebook as an example, men expressing their hearts, men putting up beautiful posts and liking posts. Like I put all these posts up on my Facebook page, feel good things. They're either feel good or thought provoking. And the amount of men that now come and comment or like it just amazes me. And the amount of men that are putting nice things up on their pages, loving their daughters, their mothers, their wives, warm-heartedness, being conscious individuals. I saw one today. It was about a friend of mine put up something about a random act of the kindness. So trust that the masculine is coming to the warm-heartedness of themselves. Everything that is going on in your twin, you have to realize is their experience is very different than ours, because we did birth as an individuated soul. And again, I talk about this in my 3-part series, so I'm not going to go on say too much about it right now, but their whole life story is different than our life story. It's just the shared soul is what we have in common. So our experiences is always going to be felt higher with our twin than any other individual or person on earth with us. Relationships develop to a new level. Trust your intuition. Care for yourself and others. This is the self-love portion. Take the focus off what's not happening in your relationship and put it on what it is you want to experience in your life. Because if you're not in vibrational alignment with what you want to experience, what just will be continuing to show up is where that vibrational match is. So it could be lack, it could be loneliness. For example, I was doing some work in my own Akashic records where we look at vows and curses and bindings and things like that, and compassionate connections that keep us stuck to people that aren't serving our highest good. And I found a vow of loneliness in my Akashic records. And when I looked into that vow of loneliness, and I thought, oh my God, this explains so much of my story. And it allowed me to make powerful shift immediately in, first of all, just the recognition of it. And then what is a vow of loneliness? What did I vow to be lonely about? And why did I vow to be lonely in this lifetime? And in the Akashic records, we'll get told a story that this experience happened to you either early in this lifetime or another lifetime. And as a result of that, you came to the earth with a vow of loneliness. And those vows are all unrighteous. They're all unrighteous. So we can clear them. We clear them in the Akashic records. I give you homework to do with that, statements that you do. And then when you release that vow of loneliness, then what you'll start to see is loneliness. The opposite of loneliness is unity. You'll go from feeling so alone in the story, because this is very big. Twins really think that a lot of us are really suffering through this ourselves. And when you work with spirit, you realize you don't have to suffer through anything. You just allow the experience to be what it is. Recognize that it's mirroring something to you. It's something your twin is feeling, or something that's being mirrored to you, or you're mirroring to your twin. And then you work on clearing it. Work on shifting that vibrational energy. The third card that comes up is the card of Archangel Jeremiah, and it is renewal. So we're seeing events occurring with great speed. We're seeing relationships coming to a new level, trusting our intuition, and renewal. And in this card, when you look at this card, the archangel is residing over this couple. They have a child present with them in the card. He has his arm around her. They're standing in front of it, and it's to review and evaluate a favorable assessment of the facts, time to move in a new direction. And I truly believe the new direction is about taking ownership of where you're at, recognizing what is my law of attraction, what am I doing that's bringing this situation to show up this way. I can explain this 100 different ways to you guys. But basically, it's what's your vibrational match to is what shows up. So to shift, you have to shift your vibrational energy, and you will shift what's showing up. And you take control of that. You recognize that I'm the director of my story. This is where I work with my clients, where I really uphold for you that the amazing, powerful creator that you are in your own story. And I will stand in your truth for that with you. And then when you begin to see that, you realize how amazing and how quickly that you can change what's going on in your life by taking full ownership of it. So you want to review and evaluate what's going on, where am I at, how do I assess what's going on, look at the information, and then use that information to direct yourself in a new way. So if what it's going on is you're not liking what's showing up, then you need to shift something, the thoughts, the feelings, the belief systems. And Spirit is saying that what they want you to know is that they sit in neutrality of what it is our experience is, and what it is that we put out to the universe is what they support. So they don't judge us for being in pain. They don't judge us for staying in anger. They don't judge us for making mistakes. They don't judge us for things that we may have done in the past that we may feel ashamed of. They sit in neutrality. It's unconditional love, is true neutrality. And when you ask them for support, they're saying, we support you in anything that you do because we're not judging you for the experience that you're having. But they will guide us in a new direction when we ask for their help and then do the work behind it. So many people in the spiritual development community think they can literally just zen their way to change. We live in a physical world. We have to do something different to create true change in our lives. Otherwise, we get short-term relief, short-term happiness, short-term results, and then boom, we're right back to where we were, broke, unhealthy, unloved, alone, all of that stuff that's going on. And we have the power over all of that, of changing all of it. Nobody can change our experience for us. It's completely up to us to do that ourselves. So that's the three cards for the male energy. So now I'm going to read the female energy, the feminine energy. And it really plays into what I just said, which is so common when I do work with people in readings. I channel, and then I'll flip a card, and that card will be a complete confirmation of what it is that I just said. I don't know why sometimes I get, oh my God, here we go again. And it's like, why do you act surprised? This happens all of the time. The first card that comes up for the feminine is the ego. Archangel Jophiel, a false sense of entrapment, being overly focused on it says on material things. I just believe it's being overly focused on any part of the story and having negative or fear-based thoughts. And the negative and fear-based thoughts would be all of those things that we're sitting here stuck in about, this isn't happening. I can't get my twin out of my head. I'm so lonely. I'm not experiencing any joy in my life. And it's saying that is ego-driven stuff because you're staying in the negative side of the story, so your law of attraction will be keeping you there. It's a false sense of entrapment. The ego is here to protect us. And one thing I tell every one of my clients, you are an amazing, powerful creator, and you do not need protecting. And I will uphold that truth for you also. Being overly focused on anything. So that's that repetitive thought pattern, the repetitive loneliness thing. You know, when I realized that I had that vow of loneliness and I understood the impact that it had on my life, not just in this experience, but for years and years in my life, and how much I've stayed single, and how I live this very quiet home life and things like that. And it's really got me going, no, I'm getting up and I'm going out. And 2 weekends ago, I went out dancing, and then we had went the next night out for dinner. And this past weekend, I went off to a retreat. It's because I realized that for me to shift that vow of loneliness, you know, in addition to just doing the clearing work, is that I have to go do something different. I have to go sit out. I went out and went into a pub where I know a bunch of people here in town, and I went in, and everybody, I literally got asked, do you still live here? Do you still live here, Diane? Because I actually haven't been out for so long. And part of it is because, you know, I have this experience going on in my heart with my twin. And so I do keep kind of a quiet life at home and things like that. And I've recognized some things about how I'm really holding myself back from other experiences. And that's so ego-driven stuff. So understand that you are not trapped in anything. This story is not written in stone. No matter what it looks like today, it's not written in stone. It's false. That's the ego saying, this isn't ever going to happen. They're never going to get their shit together. And he's never going to leave, or she's never going to leave. Excuse me, I need to take a drink of water. You know, I'm always going to be alone. Men aren't trustworthy. Women aren't trustworthy. You know, he's hung up on that relationship that he's in, and that repetitive thinking. I just want you to understand, and I've explained this in other videos. If you look at the grain of sand example that I've given before, every thought is a grain of sand. So the negative thoughts are being piled up over here. They're coming directly from our protection, from our ego, from thinking we need to be protected. And then next thing you know, you have this giant sand hill that's burning into a giant sandcastle, and our law of attraction and trust and faith and believing in spirit, believing in our spiritual guidance, realizing that I'm in the one that's directing my story. My law of attraction is showing up exactly based on what it is I'm putting out into the universe. And you have this little pile of sand over here, and you have this giant sandcastle over here. And the giant sandcastle might be big, and it's very ominous, but it's not bringing what you want. You have to take control of your mind, of your physical vibration, of calling in what it is you want, and then staying true to it and having faith and trust that this stuff does come to fruition. I have twins that write me after sessions, clearing sessions and guidance sessions, and I highly recommend, if you can, to do both of them. I do a 60 to 90 minute spiritual guidance session with you, specific for you. We read cards, I channel to you, everything comes up. Where are you at? What's blocking you? We hear all of the stuff for you. And then I do energy clearing session around that. And those are very, very powerful. And people write me these amazing stories that my twin reached out, and I'm now in union with my twin. And, my twin and I have actually been in communication for a full month now. This is the first time that's happened in da-da-da-da-da. So when you shift the vibrational energy and shift your vibrational story, something new can show up. You start to take from that sandcastle, big giant pile, and you start moving it over to what it is you want to see happen in your relationship. So next card is the Hermit, Archangel Raziel. Archangel Raziel, spend time in quiet meditation, spiritual teachings, and self-discovery. This is again the self-love story. It's reviewing the masculine energy is being told to review and evaluate their situation, time to take a new direction, time to open up, relationships developing at a new level, trusting that this is happening for the masculine. And the quiet meditation is what, where I say we're taking that time to go in, do creative visualization, see yourself in the relationship, see yourself with your twin, see yourself in harmony, see yourself in love, see yourself in unity and joy. Because when we're so stuck in the lower energies, there's really nothing else that can show up. Self-discovery, self-love. Where am I at in my story? In my 3-part series, I really stress this. Where am I at? What is it I need to change? What is my twin mirroring to me that I can go work on that can create space for this union to come into fruition? Spiritual teachings. This is what you're doing right now. You're getting spiritual teachings when you come for the readings and for the guidance and for when you come for sessions or you watch the videos. Spirit says it all matters. What matters, though, is what direction are you taking the energy? Again, they're saying we sit in neutrality. We unconditionally love you. We do not judge your choices. Every choice has a consequence. This is a big part of what I teach in my program. In my soul mastery program, is that every choice, everything that we do is a choice at some level. A decision and a choice are very different. A lot of people think they're the same, and they're not at all the same. You make a choice. The choice is to, for example, the choice is to send the text message, and then the consequence, you have to accept the consequence of they may or may not write back. But what is my vibrational energy going to be if they don't write back? Am I still going to stay true? Am I still going to stay open and stay in possibility? Versus I go straight down into the dumpster, can't get out of it. Now I'm depressed, I'm lonely, I'm sad. So when you look at that, you say, what are my choices? Are they leading me to consequences I love? Because that's what life is about. It's just about, here's the choice and the consequences. And they can be consequences that you love. You're creating what you want. You're standing in your power. You're creating, you're healthy. You have an abundant bank account. Money, sexuality, and health are the 3 physical, 3rd-dimensional experiences that are always entwined. One of them is out of alignment. Chances are all 3, or at least 2 of them, are going to be out of alignment for you. So spend time inside of yourself. What is it I want to create? How do I want to feel when it comes to me? If you don't know what it is you want, you won't recognize it when it gets there anyways. That's just the truth. I really had to work through that one. It's like, if I don't have a clear picture of what it is I want, I wouldn't know if it showed up anyways. So this is a lot of stuff you can either do on your own or come to sessions and get some assistance with. The last one is Archangel Metatron, the Chariot. Self-discipline and willpower, exactly what I just talked about. You are the controller of your ship. You direct your own story. As long as you think you don't, you're giving your power away completely. It could be to people, it could be to your family, it could be to the society, it could be to your church. You are in control of your story. No one controls your thoughts but yourself. And thoughts are actually the 4th-dimensional energy that determine what it is that's showing up in our life. Where our vibrational match comes from is from the thoughts that we're giving out into the universe. Self-discipline, willpower, Archangel Metatron. Call on Archangel Metatron. Go look up Archangel Metatron and see what he's here to assist us on the earth with. He's an amazing archangel that is so present on what's happening in our experience on earth right now. He's leading that chariot. He's off. The horses is the 2 horses side by side. An important achievement, important changes can be made when you follow your heart, when you take control of your life, when you take control of your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences. And, when you come to me for assistance, when my clients come to me for assistance, I always talk about, we'll talk about the effect that something can have on the twin, but we're here to talk about your story, because it's your vibrational experience that's causing what's happening in your life. Our twins are often sitting outside waiting for us to actually get this stuff. We think it's all about what they're not doing. And the minute we do that, that means we're turning the mirror back away from us. We're thinking what's happening is outside of our control, and life will show up and it'll just keep dumping experiences into us, our story, over and over again, that are leaving us feeling powerless, out of control, unhealthy, alone. And the flip card is the Page of Water. Intuitive, sensitive, artistic. A new person enters your life. A relationship begins a new phase. This is what happens when you start to do the work yourself. Every time you make a shift in yourself, I assure you, as that shared soul, your twin will shift in some way, but they're shifting in a way inside of their story. Where they're at, what their family genealogy is, what their fears are, what their commitments are, how to get through those commitments. Change yourself and you are changing the experience for your twin. A new person entering your life, what Spirit just said to me is the new person can be yourself. Because when you go from that desolate, lonely, unhappy person that feels like there's no control over a thing, and you start to take, you go grab the reins and you take control of your ship, that is a new person. Self-love will bring a new person forward into your life. And the one thing that I've always been thankful for with my twin, I expressed this to him very openly, is that he pole vaulted me into a form of self-love and self-awareness after I met him. I thought that there were so many things in my life that I had dealt with, how I felt towards men and the trust and issues and the abandonment issues that I had. I really felt like I had come up and out of those. And then when I met him, and he became such a beautiful mirror for me to look back at, because I think, I truly look at him as one of the most beautiful human beings on the earth to me. And so if I feel that about him, I recognize as the shared soul, I feel that about myself. Everything I love about him became something I could look at within myself. His kindness was, and I reflected back to me my kindness. Seeing him being kind and loving made me want to be more kind and loving. Seeing him be open-hearted brought me to want to be more open-hearted. And so I found that there's so many gifts in this experience with him. A new person enters your life, a relationship begins a new phase, and heightened psychic abilities. And the psychic part is about you recognizing your own intuition. I really appreciate and love the work I do with people when I do the spiritual guidance sessions and the readings with them, but I'm always making sure that you understand everything that I'm doing you have within yourself to do. I've just worked at this for a long time. I've taken trainings, I've gone to courses, I've practiced it over and over and over again, so that it's a very heightened skill for me to be psychic, to be aware, to be intuitive. I'm clairaudient, so I hear a lot of things. I'll see a picture. I was doing some work with a client recently, and in this session that ended up being very long, that I had actually taped on audio for her, I realized what was happening is I'm actually was doing some teaching for her so that she could listen to this audio and that when in her own time, and that I was giving you information that would be valuable for her to learn. And then boom, I would see something, and then I would get channeling. It would just be boom, it was just downloading. And then what I recognized after about the third time was, like, as soon as I saw the picture, it was like I was literally being told by stop teaching and start listening, because now we're channeling stuff to you for her. And then I would just channeling, and I was just passing on, here's some stuff for you, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden I'd feel complete. I'd be like, okay, I'm complete. I'd go back to, okay, where was I in terms of what I was teaching? And then boom, that might go on for 15 minutes. And then boom, I'd see a picture, and it was specifically to her. And then I recognized, okay, I'm meant to stop teaching, start hearing. That's the spiritual guidance. And you have access to all of that. This isn't something that I have I'm different than you are. I've just practiced the skill a lot more. And that's the same with everything, you know what I mean? The reason people are good at anything, and no matter what your gift is in life, even in the Akashic Records, we actually identify what your divine gifts are that you are inherently made up at soul level. It's what gifts were you birthed into the universe with, because we're all unique individual snowflakes. You have very specific gifts for your story, for yourself. And when you access those gifts and you align with those gifts, that's when you really will start to see life show up in amazing ways. And how you take control of your situations, how you recognize. And when you recognize what your gifts are, you can very clearly recognize when you're out of alignment with them. That's actually one of the greatest measuring sticks at all. And if you don't know what those gifts are, it's definitely hard to see that measuring stick. And that's all information that comes up for people when we do Akashic work in the Akashic Records. So now I'm just shuffling these cards, and we're just going to see what is the overall message for the intimacy of the relationship. What does the heart want? What does the heart want us to know? This is good messages from Spirit that they're giving us, to be open to understand that your twin, as much as you are a shared soul, they are also having a very individuated experience. And so be compassionate to that experience. The more compassion you show yourself, the more compassion you'll have naturally for your twin. And some of it's the opposite. We can be really compassionate towards our twin and then have no compassion towards ourselves, which in essence is really, again, it's push energy. Wow. The first card, engagement. If you've been watching my videos, a lot of you guys will know I'll speak about marriage of the heart. Marriage of the heart is marriage above the ego. It's you want to be in a union that brings you to the highest divine being you can be on the earth. That the person that you're going into union with, you're going into it to bring the best and highest versions of yourselves out, not to pay half the rent, not to plant seeds in your womb, not to have a woman birth your children for you. That's very egoic. It's old paradigm. It's still obviously part of how relationships are developed on the earth. But if you want true long-term, loving, joyful, blissful union in your story, you have to have marriage of the heart. Your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. They're in loving union together. Engage your heart. I've said this, I don't know if I've said it in a video or to a client, to be honest with you. But you cannot be afraid to love and find it at the same time. That's how I'll say it today. That's what Spirit's saying. You cannot be in fear of loving, surrendering your heart over to somebody, and then finding love at the same time. Your relationships that will come forward will be fear-based. They'll be full of all the old stuff that's just repeating itself for you. It's ascending to a higher level of commitment. So understand that commitment of the heart, that's what you want. If you want your twin to come forward into your life, be prepared to surrender to them. Surrender your heart to them. So if they're not doing what you want them to do, and they're not coming forward fast enough, and they're not writing back, and they're not reaching out, Go into the space, go into that union, go into those visualizations, seeing that happen, sending them love. Start healing and working on the other relationships in your life where what's being mirrored to you is still showing up, might be showing up in the relationship with your ex or with your kids or with your co-workers. Everything is showing us something. Every relationship is showing us something. But this engagement is about engaging your heart and understanding you cannot have it both ways. You cannot be afraid of love and attract a high love. A high love. You cannot attract that soul deep level love when you're afraid of being hurt. My uncle used to say this to me. He taught me this as a very young girl, and I really held this in my heart. And it's not that I actually practice it in every relationship I had, because I had a lot of stuff I had to work through, the way that I was brought up and the fear I had of men and making men mad and all of that stuff that was part of my youth. And for valid reasons. But when I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm an adult now, so I'm in control of this experience, was he used to say to me, never be afraid of being hurt by love, Diane. Be afraid of never finding it. That was a much bigger thing to be concerned about. And it really taught me that, you can't find love if you're afraid of how it may hurt you. If you take anything from this video, that is a message that every one of us can take. The next card, and this has been said throughout the whole reading, and this is for the masculine, this is for the feminine, because the masculine are working with tools that they really haven't had before. They haven't had the practice of coming from their heart. They're the breadwinners. They're the ones that are, keep tough, stay tough, don't cry, be strong. So be compassionate to that, and be compassionate to yourself if you're the male energy in the story, whether you're a same-sex couple or whether you're the masculine, a male-female couple. But be compassionate to that the men are really having to, they are having to come through this at a time, and where women are becoming, I'm so independent, and they're becoming, they're coming into our hearts, and we're putting up boundaries and blocks, and I don't need any help. And I actually did a personal video on my Facebook page about this, where I talked about being, don't play small for anybody. And what I wish I would have said in that video when I talked about, I'm an independent person. I'm not independent because I'm single. People have said to me, you're single because you're independent. And I'm like, no, I'm independent because I'm single. I don't need somebody to change a light bulb for me. And the part that I would have liked to have added to that video, but if I have a man present in the house, I'm asking him to change the light bulb. Now, if I've asked 3 times and he doesn't do it, my independence is going to go, I asked you 3 times already, and I'm not going to be a nag in order to get something done. So then I just get on a ladder and go do it. But, for the most part, men are there to help us with those things. And don't be so independent that you don't allow them to be of assistance to us. It's in their nature to want to help and guide and be there for us and do those little things. And, and I had a friend that was over here recently, and I had some snow shoveling, and he said, well, I'll shovel that for you, Diane. And I said, okay, well, I'll go get you the shovel. And he said, no, I'll go get it. And I'm like, no, that's okay, I'll go get it. So I literally went outside, got the shovel, brought it to the doorway for him to shovel. I realized afterwards how ludicrous that was. And he's just looking at me going, okay. He's just like, I really could have done that part for you. I'm going to shovel anyways. And I realized that's that part about I'm thinking, I can do that. Well, yes, he knew I can do that. He didn't do it because he didn't think I could do it. So your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. Love yourself first. This is the best thing you can do for yourself, for all of your relationships, and certainly for the twin union. Because if you don't love yourself when they show up, oh my God, you just ask them to step into your gunk, your muck, your mire. And it's like, don't do that. Work on yourself. Everything that you've cleared away creates a pathway for the beauty to be in the relationship when it comes. Self-respect makes you romantically attractive. This comes up with people that are, let's say, for example, say you're in a sexual union with your sexual relationship with your twin, but they're leaving and going back to somebody else, or they're using the relationship as casual. There is no judgment in that unless it's hurting you. And if it's hurting you, then you need to ask yourself, am I respecting myself and my body by giving myself over, thinking that one of these times they're going to stay, or one of these times he's going to realize that he doesn't want to be with that girl anymore, or her, or him. But if the union brings you happiness and joy, and that sex gives you some energy, and you can get out and go live life afterwards and know that he's just not ready yet to commit, but it's not taking anything away from you, have at it. There's no judgment either way. But I'm telling you that if it's leaving you empty and lonely and longing and sad, that's not self-respecting anymore. That may be the question you have. And it's not judgment from me, but it's a question you want to ask yourself. And when you take a stand and say, no, I can't be that to you anymore. I can't be that sexual partner to you without the union. You know, I love you. I want you in my life. I want this relationship to come to fruition. I'm your gal. I want you to be my guy, but I can't have a sexual relationship with you until we find that place. And sometimes they have to go away and go, wow, you know, she is who I really want to be with. I'm just not ready to commit, or I have a fear of commitment, in which case you're being mirrored something. You're being told by your twin what it is you can go work on. Go into that etheric energy and that vibrational energy and that creative visualization, and see them releasing and letting go of that fear of commitment, seeing them in union with them, seeing them being loved, and allowing them to be free in union of love. So many people associate falling in love and being in a relationship with a loss of freedom. And that's only happening if that's the way the relationship is playing out. It's not a given. There's so many people that become their highest and best selves by falling in love and by finding a right partner that says, you know, I love my guy, but I love my girlfriends too, and I like wine night. He likes golfing. I don't like golfing. There's no thing about we have to do 100% of 100%. All that is just really putting pressure on another soul to make your happiness happen for you. And I can tell you, push energy. And then heart-to-heart conversations is the final card that they're giving us here. I'm doing a flip card. I was just told that, so we'll see what it's going to be in a second. Honestly discuss your feelings with each other. This comes up so often in my sessions, where we recognize that what's happening is so for example, we're working together in a spiritual guidance session, and recognize that you're not being honest about how you feel. You're staying quiet, you're staying small, you're scared to push them away by being honest with them. All that is a mask. A mask is a form of deception. Deception will not bring you divine union. Deception is really big push energy. It doesn't matter what their response to your feelings was. It matters that you're honest about your feelings. And you can just say, oh, hey, how are you doing? I want to have a heart-to-heart. Are you up for a heart-to-heart? You know, or I have some things I want you to understand. This is how I feel. So they have information that's accurate and true and honest for them to work with. Sometimes, for example, that sexual relationship that I was just talking about, when we're settling for it, so it's one of those, we're in the relationships, we're having a sexual union with them, but we're leaving it empty and sad and lonely. And but when we're with them, we're all happy and we're all, you know, hey, love you, blah, 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 great sex, ooh, all of that stuff. And then you keep this happy, smiley face on, and the second they leave, or the next day, you can't even get out of bed because we're so sad. That's a mask. You know, I had a partner when I was with a gentleman years ago, and he used to say to me, I hate it when, like, 'cause we lived in different cities. And he'd say to me, why do you always have to do that? Like, every time I go to leave, you get really sad. And I was like, well, I'm sad you're leaving. And he's like, I know, but then I feel bad because I'm leaving. I actually don't want to feel bad every time I leave here. But what happened is, once we discussed it, I could shift my energy on that last day and bring more joy to the experience that we were having, because it was almost like we have all these really good days. He used to come on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, fabulous. And then Sundays, Diane got really quiet. I was really internal. I was like needy and huggy, and he was like, that part wasn't so bad for him. But he was like, by the time I leave here Sunday afternoons, I feel like a shithead. We had to put it on the table. We had to have a heart to heart for that to shift for us. Honestly discuss your feelings. And if you can't, if he's not willing to openly discuss his yet, don't hide yours. Sometimes they're like, well, I don't know. She seems to be okay with it. I have sex. She seems happy when I leave. And at the end of the day, that's not the truth at all. You just acted and behaved that way so as not to put any pressure on them. That's not authentic. Reconciliation is the flip card that came up. Someone from your past is returning to your life. This can be perceived as this card it may show up for you as somebody different than your twin, or it may be your twins coming back forward, which is going to allow you to have you're going to reconcile, you're going to open your communication back up to each other, you're going to have some heart-to-heart conversations, you're going to know how you are with yourself is going to determine much of what's going on in the relationship. Your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. That's the reconciliation, and that comes from heart-to-heart conversations. Spirit is saying to me right now, they're saying, don't make everything so hard. I know this story. I mean, I have experienced the deepest pain and the deepest love I knew was even within me in this experience. But I recognize that if I'm going to be in the pain all the time, I can't experience the joy of the parts of the growth and the expansion of this story. Don't let it be so hard. We are in control of that. Trust your intuition. I read the cards as in the masculine and the feminine, but when you look at that shared soul, both sides of these readings are for you. If you're the masculine, these are about kind of like where you want to be. Here's where she'll be at, and you're the feminine, here's where he'll be at, but all of it applies because of that shared soul. Yeah, they're just really reiterating is that part of what they're asking us to experience right now on the earth so that we can have that effect on the whole, so that we can bring these unions into fruition, is we don't want them to come into fruition in dysfunction. So find joy in your experience. And if you can't find it in your experience with your twin, then go out and find it in your life. Like right now, because it's coming to winter, I told this in a video a long time ago, I decided, what am I going to do this winter that's going to keep me busy at home? Because I don't go out a lot when it gets really cold out. Part of it is I'm a homebody that way, but I realize that I can't stay at home all the time because then I just start disconnecting from people in general. So one of the things I'm going to do at home is that I'm going to do mandalas. I'm going to start painting and doing some things with, even just, buy the ones that are already made and just color them to the way that I want to see them colored, because it's a form of creation. The universe loves creation. They love us to be creating. If we're creating energy, that draws creating energy to us. It's open energy for more beautiful stuff to come forward. And then the other part I'm looking at is that I love dancing. And when I spent actually an entire winter in Costa Rica, and they used to say to me, you must have been here in another lifetime, because I was very good at Latin dancing. I was very natural at it. I loved it. I just got the move, so to speak, And so I'm looking, do we have that in my city? We didn't before, but we have so many new people coming to the city, and so many from different cultures now, that I'm thinking there's going to probably be some dance lessons out there. I don't really have a desire to go take country dancing. Country music isn't my favorite thing to do. I love good old rock and roll because you can just get to really swing your booty. I'm working on creating a dance workshop that I'm going to be leading, and it's going to be through, finding, getting to your sexiness in your core through a dance workshop. That's something you have to be present in my town for. And so these are things that I'm looking at, keeping myself busy, keeping myself active, keeping myself in energy of joy. And I'm being told to share this story with you. I was coming home yesterday. I actually went away for the weekend. I went on a retreat. And so when I was away, I was coming back yesterday. And so, I always think about spirit always really gives me good guidance, and they direct me to things. And there's a couple things that happened yesterday, but they're not all about my twin flame relationship. I practice being connected to spirit and just hearing what it is they want me to do. You guys have heard me told you endlessly about, hey, stop doing your dishes, walk out the door right now. Blah, blah, blah. I told that whole story in one of my videos. I don't want to go out, blah, blah, blah. And I end up literally coming face to face with this beautiful soul. We got to look right over at each other, and it was just like, okay, obviously, I was supposed to leave. Sometimes it's turn here, go there. And, look up. I hear that all the time. Look up. Boom. There's a drive-by taking place. So yesterday I was going through town a couple hours from here, and I heard go to Value Village. And I was like, I don't want to go to Value Village. I'm not looking for anything. I don't need any clothes. And it's like, go to Value Village. So I go to Value Village. I'm walking around. I'm looking at clothes. I'm looking at coats. I'm looking at, what is it I'm here for? And I'm really ready to leave. I'm ready to leave. And I got, kind of like go to the back of the store. It's like, no, just keep walking around. You'll see it. You'll see it. And here's me. It's almost like, you got there's like a person in your head, which is when you're clairaudient is what it feels like. I get to the back of the store, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, okay, well, there's dishes and things like that. And I'm like, no, that's not it. I don't need any dishes. I'm like, well, I've kind of been looking for a container for my office that I can put stuff in, so it doesn't tip over all the time. I have a wicker thing here so if you, bump it at all, stuff falls over. I'm not seeing anything. And all of a sudden I look up, and there's this TV. Looks like a perfectly fine TV. I don't have a second TV. And what I'm always having to do is I'm always having to, sometimes I want to go just relax in bed at night. I have not had a TV in my bedroom. I don't even remember how long since I had a TV in my bedroom. But I like, sometimes if I'm not sleeping, which took place last night, I might want to get on a YouTube video, or I might want to, watch something on Netflix or whatever, because I'm an odd sleeper. And so I look at this TV, and it's $34.99, and I'm like, I can't work very well, but I'm like, no, I'm like that, bing, 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 bing. I'm getting the story. This is what I'm supposed to be paying attention to. And I'm like, well, I actually had just spent, a friend of mine went through flyers. He got online. He's looking at Best Buy. He's looking at Future Shop, whatever the names of them were. He's looking at me getting a second TV. I took a trip out to the Brick here in our city, looking at a TV, $600, $700, $800 for a TV. Because I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to buy a new TV, well, then at this point, I want to buy an upgraded one. Maybe I'll look at a smart TV. I want one that has, certain HDMI cables and all that stuff. And I look, and so I look over, and I'm like, oh, there's 2 HDMI outlets on that TV. And so I go get this gentleman. I say, can you plug this in for me, please? He lights it up, he plugs it in. He goes to all we could see was the input menus and stuff like that. But the picture was perfectly clear. It was kind of heavy, this TV, but it just was kind of leaning and standing on its own. So it didn't have a stand per se, but we looked on the back, and it could be mounted. It had brackets. So I'm like, oh, wow. Like, maybe I'm going home with a TV for $35 instead of $450 to $800, which was the range that I was looking in. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool, since I didn't know why I was coming to Value Village. So anyways, plugs it in, works perfect, takes it out to my car. I paid $35. I'm like, worst case scenario, I'll be giving it away or maybe, tossing it or whatever. But for $35, I'm willing to find out that I don't need to now go continue to look for a second TV, because sometimes I'm thinking I might even want one in my office here. Because I watch so many training videos, and when I do Akashic Records, stuff like that, when I'm always trying to keep up to date with what's going on in the program and in the work that I do. And so I get home last night, I plug it in, I go get my computer, I use my, and I am telling you, this might have a better picture on it than the TV that I have upstairs. I'm like, I wonder how big it is. I go measure it. You measure diagonally on a TV. It's 32-inch TV. Fabulous picture, fabulous sound. The only thing it doesn't have is a remote, which I'm going to have a universal one here that I'm going to hook up for it or go get coded for it. And so I came home with a TV for $35 because I listened to Source. This is why I'm telling you this story. When you get quiet, when you start practicing saying, universe, show me a sign, universe, guide me, universe, direct me, and then you become open to hearing this information. We get so poo-pooing everything. Well, that can't really be what's going on. That can't be really what's going on. Why would they tell me to stop at Value Village? Like if I hadn't taken and followed my intuition, I wouldn't have came home with that TV. I wouldn't have got to lie in bed last night while I brought my paperwork into my bedroom. I'd been away since Friday. So I brought in a bunch of paperwork. I folded my laundry. I got to sit on my bed and I was stoked. That is like joy energy. I ended up with joy energy for $35 because I listened to what it was I was being guided to do. Each and every one of you has the ability to do this. I feel complete. Spirit is just saying, get out and get some joy in your story. If you need help how to do that, reach out. I offer clearing sessions, and I offer clearings and guidance sessions. You can do them individually, you can do them together, and I have programs to work within the Akashic Records, and those are ones where for example, I think I said at the beginning of this video, where you actually I'll do a 30-minute breakthrough session with you to discuss if the Akashic Records are for you. It's much more in-depth work, but it's powerful, powerful work. The Akashic Records are really like who was, when I was birthed as this individuated soul in the universe, who am I? What am I made of? What ingredients am I made of? And then what lifetimes am I carrying, maybe, for example, a vow of loneliness, which I found in my story. And having a vow of loneliness, you can be pretty sure it explains why I've spent so much of my time alone. I mean, it was so enlightening for me to learn this. And because I work in the records, then I have tools to work with that vow, to release that vow, to let it go. It's unrighteous. I do not need it any longer. It is not serving my soul. I'm not willing to hang on to it anymore. And then when we learn what the vows are, or for example, what vows you might be carrying, what bindings, what compassionate connections are holding you back from your story, from your highest joy and love and happiness in your life, because they show us that in the Akashic Records. It's kind of like awareness, and then I give you some homework to do and some tools to work with, so you can move that out of that story. You cut and sever from them, you release them, and then how to then actually bring new information in, bring new stuff to your story, so you can say, I don't have to operate from that vow anymore, so I'm bringing in unity into my life now. I'm going to become part of things. I'm not going to allow myself to stay in loneliness because I agreed to it in some lifetime ago, because for whatever reason I felt justified to accept that vow in that lifetime. But I guarantee you, it is not, no vow is serving us in this lifetime. So God bless you, beautiful souls. You can visit www.wisdomoftheakashics.com to access your sign up for your free 3-part video series. You can book clearing and coaching sessions with me there, and you can also book guidance or breakthrough sessions for me if you're interested in the Akashic records. And when we look at the Akashic records and when we do that 30-minute breakthrough session, it's very much about, are we the right fit for each other? If after that session this isn't for you, don't feel there's no pressure from me, because I believe that we're guided to who we're meant to work with, when we're meant to work with them, and the money will be there to work for us to make that decision. And sometimes we have to make the decision that we want to go do that for ourselves first, and then the money will show up. But there's no pressure. It's just for you to look at, is this another way for me to become really more in tune with who I am on a spiritual and a soul level? And as we become into our own, we will attract the things in our life which we want, in terms, and that thread that I spoke of earlier, which is the health, the relationships, and the money. That's where we're in full abundance. So many people think abundance is money, and that's just such a small part of the equation. But if you have lack mentality programs, you have a vow of poverty, for example, running in your story, you don't matter what you do. You will create money and boom, your car will break down the very next day. That's what a vow of poverty will do to you. It keeps us in lack. And what I've also learned very clearly from the records, a vow of poverty is a vow of being impoverished. And if we're impoverished in loving relationships, if we're impoverished, we're sick and unhealthy all of that time, that's a form of poverty. So it's way beyond just money. This video is probably officially one of the longest ones I've ever done. I don't think I've done an hour and 10-minute video before, but I was really guided to do this reading today. I hope it's been, I trust it's been of value for you. I always say hope is lack of faith and trust, and then I hear myself using it all the time. So that's that awareness. Just recognize I'm not beating myself up for it. I just know. I don't hope these videos are valuable. I know they're valuable. And certainly the feedback and the stuff that people write for me, that is what keeps me going. That keeps me want the YouTube channel going. God bless you. Wisdom of the Akashics, Diane Lang. Namaste.